traffic in here on a Friday night. I know. Please? Yes, please. No, we do. Okay. Well, good afternoon. My first priority for this coming school year is twofold. The first is to keep kids in class, and the second is to ensure Ontario schools are focused on the fundamentals. And we've met over 170 times with our education unions with one goal in mind. That is to secure a deal that provides parents and students and staff with stability, a deal that treats our educators fairly. Earlier this week, there were statements about some teacher unions holding strike votes in September and October. And I know parents are frustrated by this never-ending cycle of strikes and disruptions that have plagued Ontario's education system for the last 40 years. I've always believed that threatening another strike and creating anxiety for these parents and kids just weeks before the start of the school year is just unfair and frankly unnecessary. After 3 difficult years for students due to the pandemic, last school year we were able to overwhelmingly return these kids to a positive and normal educational experience. Students benefited from clubs and sports and extracurriculars, the largest tutoring program in Canadian history. They benefit from new math and literacy investments and a modern curriculum that emphasized life and job skills. Students enjoyed it, and I think mentally, physically, academically, they're better off for it. So we want the next school year, and frankly the next 3 years, to be stable, to be normal, and focused on academics, that back to basics priority. And so to support students for the coming school year, we're providing funding for 2,000 additional educators focused on math and literacy. We're also investing over $650 million more than we did last year. The strategy is to invest in what matters most, strengthening reading, writing, and math skills, and getting back to the basics. But these investments and these staff levels will not matter unless kids are in class. And that's why I'm here today, to set in motion a strategy that will keep kids in class and lay the foundation for stability and peace for 4 years. I'm very pleased to announce that the province has reached a tentative agreement with the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation on a process that keeps students in class and ends the threat of strikes both provincially and locally. This tentative agreement will now be brought forward to union members to vote on. This tentative agreement sets out a period of time to continue negotiating in good faith. And if a negotiated agreement can't be reached, the parties will enter into binding interest arbitration, which is a fair and reasonable approach to resolve all outstanding issues. Through this process, a neutral third party will make binding decisions on all the outstanding matters, including in central and local agreements. Agreeing to binding interest arbitration will also ensure that for the school year begins for English public school students without the looming threat of labor disruptions such as strikes. That means 60,000 members and all of their students will remain in the classroom focused on learning. Let me put this into context for what this means when it comes to delivering peace for families. A student that started grade 9 in an English public school last year will be able to graduate over the next 3 years without the threat of a strike. That is an amazing achievement for peace, for stability, and for academic success. One that we want to replicate right across the board for all students in elementary, Catholic, and French. Every student deserves that stability. Now I want to address the way forward with the 3 outstanding teacher unions. Now that we have a tentative agreement with OSSTF, we have now just invited all 3 teacher federations to meet with us as early as Monday so that we can lay out this proposed agreement and to ask them to agree to it as well. This should not take those unions weeks, but rather days to agree to this incredibly fair, reasonable, student-focused proposal that keeps kids in school. We will present the deal, we will answer the questions, and we will urge them to set in motion that process to approve this agreement and keep kids in class for the next 3 years. Thank you.
To OSSTF.
We have called and asked the other unions to come in place for as early as Monday to do that. We've had very productive discussions over the past weeks with OSSTF. We've got a tentative agreement reached today, and we do believe over the coming days we'll be able to present and hopefully land deals with them as well. We think this is a fair proposal for the members as it is for the kids. It's a win-win-win. The school boards, the members, the workers, and of course these kids get 3 straight years of peace, 4 years in total. So we look forward to having that discussion with them as soon as Monday, and I remain cautiously optimistic we can get these deals done in a very short period of time. We should be able to do that, given this is a very fair offer.
To be clear, though, you are inviting the other three unions to enter arbitration if they wish. Is that correct?
Offering the same proposal, which would be to continue negotiating in good faith to a period of time for OSSTF. It's October 27th. At that point, should an agreement not be able to be reached through the collective process, negotiating process, it would then go to a mutually agreed upon arbitrator through binding interest arbitration. That's the same proposal we'll bring forward to the other unions, and one we believe should be accepted swiftly because it is a sensible, fair offer for their members, but most especially keeps these kids in school.
You said over the past year, though, that it's important to watch every dime. Entering arbitration, if that does happen, would likely cost the government more money, a lot more money perhaps in contracts, would it not?
I think the cost of strikes, the economic impact to working parents, the mental health impacts, the physical impacts, the academic regression in reading, writing, and math, there's a huge cost to never-ending strikes in Ontario, and it takes a determined government to put these kids first. That's exactly what we've done. It's what we hope to do. It's why I'm calling the other unions to come in to meet with us as soon as literally Monday. Take us up on this offer. Let us preview this offer. Let's get their agreement. Let's get these deals done and build a sense of momentum for peace and stability for kids as we look forward to the school year.
What we've heard from you in the past, is it the case of, the government feeling heat on other issues like the green belt that's prompted this change?
No, our priority has been providing peace and stability for kids. We've always said that at the front end of our negotiations, and we got it with QP. We were able to achieve it today with the education, with the OSSTF. My priority as minister is to keep kids in class. That is and should be the most important priority of any government. You all know, as many of you as parents, you've seen the impacts of the pandemic. You've seen the impacts of strikes. You've seen the anxiety imposed on families because of these, what feels like the constant threat of a strike. Every year, every 6 or 12 months, there's another discussion about some form of education instability. We are providing stability for families. We're getting a fair deal on the table, a tentative agreement with OSSTF, and if we can do this with the other units, which I know we can, and if they accept it in the coming days, we could provide that certainty for moms and dads, for guardians and parents, and for the kids themselves. So let's put kids first. Let's put their interests first. Let's get this agreement done. The fact that we're able to do so with OSSTF today in a tentative manner, still subject to the membership ratification, but endorsed by the provincial and local leadership, is a positive step forward. I now want to do this right across the board so that we can enter the school year with a real sense of stability. These kids need to focus on academics. We need to get back to those basic foundational skills. We've seen the EQAO data. We've seen significant regression in reading, writing, and math. There's no jurisdiction in the world that has not seen that regression. In Ontario, our strategy is premised on keeping them in class, investing in frontline academic success, and emphasizing skills around reading, writing, and math and STEM disciplines. And if we do that, I do believe we're going to see kids lift, improve standards, and outcomes for young people in Ontario.
Why is arbitration being used for education bargaining? How unusual is this?
In the last round, we were able to consent to agreements that were negotiated between the parties. In my experience, this is new. I appreciate I've been as ministers for 5 years. But I know in other sectors of the civil service and the broader public service, it has been used. There's tons of precedent across government. Again, the priority of the government is to offer something that we believe is fair for all the parties. So let's continue to negotiate in good faith. If we can't agree on those specific terms, we have a path to get to an agreement that is fair, but ultimately a third party will decide upon an arbitrator. So we use this in many sectors of the economy, many ministries, and I have full confidence that we could agree to a mutual third party. All parties would agree to that person, and we'll get this done. I just think the number one priority for the government is providing some peace, some stability, some hope to young people who faced real challenges over the past years, and I am confident that the plan we put in place will achieve that.
Yeah, the Canadian press release also mentions that there's an agreement to provide a Bill 124 remedy. Can you give us any details on what that might look like? Is that an admission that the wages were unfairly constrained for 3 years?
Obviously, this is going to go through ratification, and like the last time I did this was before the media 3 years ago, I had to commit to maintaining the confidence of that process. This is going to go before the members. I have to respect that process. They need to be able to ratify this independent of myself and other political actors, so I will respect that process. They've got a tentative deal before them. Of course, following ratification, other details will be unveiled. I could say it's fair for all parties. It keeps kids in school. It provides stability for parents. It allows the government to really focus in on academic improvement, on lifting standards and accountability within our school board system. It allows us to help these kids, frankly, get back on track. So it is progress. It is a win-win-win, and it keeps kids in school.
You've been bargaining with the teacher unions for 13 months, and you've only now just come to arbitration. So what's been going on at the table? Have you actually agreed on anything?
You know, we've had 170 meetings with our education partners, keeping in mind that the last round also took time, and our priority as a government is just to get deals done. I mean, we believe, what should matter most to all the parties is making sure that these kids have some sense of peace. So I appreciate we're going to continue to negotiate in good faith. We're going to have spirited discussions at the table. But we brought forward this proposal. We thought it was sensible because there's a recognition that there are some issues where we are a bit apart on. And so we're going to use the next month or two to negotiate, see if we can bridge those gaps, see if we can get to an alignment that we can both live with. But if we can't, we now have a pathway to avoid a strike, avoid disruption for children. That is important. That is positive. That is what a responsible government would do. I mean, just find a way out of negotiation. It just doesn't seem like on every issue there's necessarily a pathway to success. And so we recognize that. I think the unions recognize that. The employer recognizes that. And therefore we've come up with that off-ramp that allows us to avert a strike, provide peace both provincially and locally, and offer a fair process for all the parties. And I really think this is a positive step forward for families. The last thing a child or a parent needs to deal with in the next little while as kids go back to school is the idea that they may be out of school. I think that's really unfair. So this is a positive outcome, and I just want to reaffirm our commitment with the other unions, calling them in on Monday, meet with us over the coming days, and let's present this offer, let's get this offer passed, let's present it to the members, let's get deals that keep kids in school. That is our priority. It's the Premier's priority. It's my priority. It's Patrice's priority. It's literally the priority, I think, of every parent in Ontario, for the parties to be the adults in the room, come together, put their kids first. That's exactly what we've done today.
Just have another issue, if you don't mind, under the purview of your ministry. Television Ontario is on strike, and this is a service that many Ontarians rely on. The money, at least for broadcast services, has been reduced over the past few years. What are you going to do, if anything, to help end this strike?
Well, first off, the government is not involved on the bargaining between TVO and the Canadian Media Guild, and I appreciate that TVO has issued a statement reaffirming their commitment to journalistic programming and noting that their commitment has grown dramatically over the past few years. What I can simply say is we value the importance that TVO provides, particularly when it comes to online learning and other educational programs, and I hope that the parties can come together and get a deal. I think it's important for the members. It is a discussion point, literally between the Canadian Media Guild and the employer. We're not involved as the government and myself as minister, so I just, obviously, like you, would like them to get a deal so we can also put this behind us and provide some stability. I know many children benefit from TVO. I grew up watching TVO, and I value what they do, and I just look forward to the parties coming together as we've done today with OSSTF and get a deal. Okay, thank you all. I appreciate it.